It's the Eastside Fantasy Football Podcast. Today is Tuesday, October 25th. I'm Nick Tony alongside my co-host Joe Briner. We have a special guest I'll bring on in a second. Before we get to news, before we get to relevant TDs, before we talk about how my team got fucked once again, I have to start out. Huge trade went down and it got vetoed. And let me set it up real quick. Josh Allen was traded, who's on a bye, for Kyler Murray, who's a QB1, and DK Metcalf. There was a lot of vetoes, but what we've learned recently is it actually did not get vetoed from votes. It got vetoed from Derek Titano in the league, who still has powers to the commissioner spot from last year. And now I just want to bring on our special guest who was on the other end of the trade that got a lot of hate, Jackson Edelman. Finally, welcome to the podcast. And I want you to tell your story. And Joe, you were on the side of somewhere where you were a little against the trade. So I'm going to let you guys duel it out. I'm a bystander, but welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome, Jackson. Go ahead.
Great to be here, boys. Thank you. I would just like to first start by saying that I firmly believe the trade was fair. Obviously, in hindsight of DK's injury, it is a little bit different now than it was when the trade went through. However, the tyrannical act to veto a trade, to not let it go to the supermajority as voted on by our league before every season. Andy was on this podcast and said, every year I go ahead and I make sure that I ask, what do we want to do about trades this year? This year was decided 8 votes. It did not get 8 votes. Derek overruled the trade after he was the 7th vote.
I'm going to stop you right there because Derek was the 8th vote. That's why he did that. That's the whole thing that I think you guys aren't knowing is because I was with Andy and Derek when all this was happening, obviously, because we were at practice and then we got dinner. And there were 7 vetoes going into dinner, and then Derek vetoed it, and that's why he just went ahead and did the league thing. I can't read that. You want to say it?
Well, if he just vetoed it as the 8th veto, then it would have said league vote. Derek texted me last night. I was questioning him, and he said that he completely overrode it after he was the 7th vote. Now, I know for a fact that I had people that were not going to vote to veto. I needed 5 votes, including myself. I knew that it was not going to be vetoed unless something like that happened. I was very surprised when it was vetoed. And I'd like to take a minute to apologize to the true commissioner of this league, Andy Collins, because I was attacking him and saying that he vetoed it. You never
his family, and
you never expect it to come from your own brother like Derek Titano. And you know what? I gave him a spanking this week as a punishment. But it is a tyrannical act. We vote on the trades each year. And, if you want to veto trades, we know how I stand on vetoing trades in general. I don't particularly like it. We've had a much worse trade go through. Michael Gallup is now wide receiver 106 this year. I was doing some research, if you don't mind, just, for the podcast. Any guesses? I got a couple names here on who's a better wide receiver in rankings this season than Michael Gallup. We allowed Michael Gallup to be traded for Joe Burrow, who is now a top 3 quarterback in fantasy. You know who would have been a more fair trade than for Michael Gallup? Mac Hollins, Sammy Watkins.
I'm assuming these guys are free agents.
These are all people you can pick up off the street. Mac Hollins, Sammy Watkins, AJ Green, Darius Slayton. You always want to have a New York Giant in your back pocket. Let's see who else. Braxton Berrios. These are people that come on the list of irrelevant touchdowns of the week, and we allowed that trade to go through, but not what I did. So that's all I have to say here. I don't think I cursed once, so good for me. I'm sorry.
This is a family show. Well, I guess not enough people were paying attention when that trade happened because there was definitely talk about it, and I think everybody agreed. I mean, Testoni mentioned that Diego made that offer, but we definitely all agreed that was like just wasn't it. And I mean, I remember vetoing that one too. I mean, nobody really is on vetoes until everybody thinks you shouldn't be able to veto until it becomes, or you never want to see a vetoed when it's your trade. Sorry, I said this backwards. You never want to see a vetoed when it's your trade. But then when it's somebody else and you're on the flip side, then that's when you're like, no, this is bullshit, and you want to veto. So it's definitely a weird situation.
And
Yeah,
to that end,
I don't want this to take over the whole shit. What are you gonna say?
Well, I'll step in. This is where I stand on it. I'll be honest with you. I voted to uphold it, for it to be upheld, because to me, and I'm very guilty of this in the past, but the last couple of years I took myself out of this. The reason my trade went through is because my team sucks and nobody gave a shit that I was getting Joe Burrow.
That's right.
Exactly
right.
And the thing is,
I vetoed that trade too.
Jackson is in a position where he is at the top of the rankings, a chance to win the championship. So when people see him getting Josh Allen, they see his team, and they immediately said, and you'll see some of the people, I'm not going to name names, but some of the people who really were taken back from it were people who have better records and see that as a threat. And they immediately went, it's not an unfair deal. I still don't believe it is. And the other thing is, again, it's collusion, but you can't even prove collusion with me and Diego. I think it's just a bad trade. You can't get upset about a bad trade just because you think that person is not valuing that person at that what you expect their value to be. If they agreed on it, they agreed on it. That was my thing. Now,
Nick,
I wanted to start this just because I wanted to hear the rant, and I wanted that.
I'm just going to agree with you. Just because the trade was vetoed on the grounds that it would have made my team so much better, and Gallup's trade wasn't vetoed because everybody wanted Diego to suffer because Diego auto drafted. So everyone was like, oh, screw this guy. Let him fuck his team that is undefeated at the time because he's an auto drafter. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got on that. Whatever.
Yeah, it was hot start. That's what I wanted. All right. Well, after that hot start, let's get into the news, Joe. Christian McCaffrey happened right after we were recording, was traded to the 49ers. We saw his first game. I think he was tied for the lead in touches, at least carries, got 8 points. But obviously, with another full week, get the playbook, he should be an absolute smash play for the rest of the year. You don't even have to think about it. Here's one that hurts. MRI confirmed Breece Hall tore his ACL. I don't have him in this league. I have him in another league, but a super fun guy to watch, and it just sucks that this guy, who is probably going to be the offensive rookie of the year, is done for the year. David Njoku has a high ankle sprain. He did not come back. I believe he left maybe through the third quarter. He's out for 2 to 5 weeks. He said something like it's not a big deal. He was in a walking boot with crutches. He's going to be out for a while.
He was having a great game, too, before he got injured. He had like 14 fantasy points, and he came out like halfway through the game or so. It might have been third quarter. He came out and didn't return after that, so definitely sucks.
DK Metcalf left early with a knee injury, got carted out, but today Pete Carroll said he got a good report. He's not going to need surgery. They called it a patellar tendon injury, and his timeline as of right now is unclear. He did say he wanted to practice this week. I have no idea if he will. Probably not. I would think he misses like a week or two, but it doesn't look like it'll be season ending for DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way he doesn't miss some time. What that time is, what that like time frame is, I don't know, and we haven't heard any news about it, but he's definitely missing some time.
Chuba Hubbard suffered a high ankle sprain, did not finish the game. I believe I don't know what the timeline is for Hubbard. I would think he maybe misses a week or two. I have Donta Foreman. He looked good, but they both look good. Apparently, Chuba looked better. He did get the touchdown. Foreman did have over 100 yards, but it looks like Hubbard might miss some time, making Foreman the main starter. Mike Williams left the game with a nasty-looking ankle injury. Just kind of got rolled up on going for a catch. He's definitely going to miss some time. I think it's maybe a high ankle sprain, so could be similar to the David Njoku timeline.
They are also on bye next week, so that definitely helps Mike Williams' managers. I still think he's going to miss time after the bye, considering usually when it's a high ankle sprain, you're missing at least, I would say, probably 2 to 3 weeks, because when you're playing football, especially wide receiver, running back position, like you need to be making cuts, you need to be running routes, making moves that a high ankle sprain does not let you do, at least without pain. So odds are Mike Williams is still going to miss time after the bye.
The quote was, he will miss some time.
Yeah.
Daniel Bellinger had I believe a defender His
Yeah,
hand went
this
through
one
the
was
face
bad.
mask. He suffered a fracture near his eye socket and septum, and it may require surgery. He's going to be out for a while. Tough because he was kind of a promising player in a very thin tight end market.
Low key, that might be the worst injury on this list. I know Brees Hall tore his ACL, but like pain, like I couldn't imagine needing surgery on your eye socket. Like that just sounds disgusting.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is in concussion protocol. Campbell said it looks good for him to play this week, but he kind of tough day for Amon-Ra. I believe it was like first quarter, his first it's like catch for 4 yards. He got concussed and he was done for the day.
Yep.
Sam Ehlinger will start Sunday versus the Commanders, and it looks like he's going to be the starter the rest of the way. So this was super confusing. A couple different reports.
I feel like it was out of left field. I hadn't heard anything about this.
They said Matt Ryan has a grade 2 strain in his shoulder. You saw that?
I did not, but
so they said that, but then they also said they are benching Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That's why I was like out of left field because it was just a bench. I never saw the injury thing to the shoulder.
Well, yeah. So then I thought, okay, he has a shoulder strain. He's hurt. But then they also said they're benching him, and he will be the starter for the remainder of the year. So I have no idea if this is an upgrade at all. I think we're just gonna have to wait and tell. I think you're still playing Michael Pittman, maybe not Alec Pierce, but I mean, obviously still Jonathan Taylor.
I get behind that thought process there.
And then Russell Wilson projected to play Sunday morning in London. Who cares? Do you want to see him play?
I mean, hopefully Cortland Sutton comes back. I mean, it's back-to-back bad weeks for him. He'll be in one of these next segments here soon.
It was also said, as it stands now, PJ Walker will be starting this week. Thank goodness the Gunslinger got a dub this week. Big pro PJ Walker podcast.
Yeah, for sure. DJ Moore finally getting involved too. I was 1 week late on the start of the week for DJ Moore. Would have been a great play this week. But yeah.
A couple of other quick things. Mike Boone got hurt. He was placed on IR today. So Latavius Murray and Melvin Gordon should be the main guys there. Boone will not be cutting into their time. And then also, real recent, Cliff Kingsbury said it'll be close when it comes to James Conner this week. Great. Just fuck me in the ass. All right. That was the
family show.
Yeah, well, that was the news. Let's get into the irrelevant TDs of the week. And we'll bring back Jack Settleman just to kind of react to some of these.
Who in the blue hell are you?
Look, I'll start off real quick with two Saints happened on Thursday night. Rashid Shaheed, second week in a row scoring. So two-time member of the irrelevant TD of the week, 0.1% of leagues. I don't think he'll get at it either. You?
If he does it again, he's not allowed on this list.
The other tight end in New Orleans, not the one that everybody hates, especially Jackson, Taysom Hill. But the other one, Juwan Johnson, scores 2 touchdowns, 3.2% of leagues for the Saints.
All garbage time, too.
Carolina.
If Kamara scores a touchdown this week, I think he makes this list because this is getting fucking ridiculous.
Tommy Tremble scores a touchdown, 0.4% of leagues. I've heard his name before. He's a tight end for the Panthers. Good for him.
On my dynasty team.
There you go.
Collecting dust.
Atlanta. Dude, this is brutal. Atlanta will not they threw the ball 33 times in week 1. Now they're the new Chicago Bears. They don't throw the ball. They were down by 21 points for the majority of this game. They threw the ball 14 times.
They're literally Chicago now. So it's
Drake London terrible. Is so talented, but one of the 8 passes completed by Mariota went to Damiere Byrd for a touchdown, 0.0% of leagues. In Dallas, it couldn't be Dalton Schultz. It just wouldn't be. Instead, it's Peyton Hendershot, 0.1% of leagues. Who the hell owns this guy?
It's a great question.
In Indianapolis, Paris Campbell, I guess he's a thing again. He get 2.8%
back-to-back
weeks.
Back-to-back weeks. Hella catches.
In Houston, not Brandon Cooks, Joe. They have 2 passing touchdowns. One to Philip Dorsett. Remember him in New England? Well, now he's in Houston. And Chris Moore, former Raven. Both these guys combined, 0.2% of leagues if you add them up. And then in Seattle, Marquise Goodwin had 2 touchdown catches. And he did a nice little long jump celebration. He had a nice dance. He looked really good. 0.1% of leagues.
To that point, real quick. Are you guys adding him with DK down?
Yeah, he's the only guy on here that I think you could maybe chase something.
Yeah, Paris Campbell would have been the guy that I would have mentioned highest on this list, but with Sam Ehlinger now, I don't know what's going to happen. We just talked about that. So I think Marquise Goodwin is definitely the guy to target that would make him not irrelevant following this because of the DK injury. But, I mean, It's tough because Tyler Lockett, you would assume, is going to get more involved in a game plan where they know they don't have DK Metcalf, and he wasn't because obviously they weren't prepared to lose DK, and Tyler Lockett didn't get anything crazy this game. So, yeah, I don't know.
They got big old Ken Walker getting a lot of carries out there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And then finally in San Francisco, Ray McLeod, the third, former Clemson man. I hate him. He always sucked there. And now he sucks in the NFL, except he scored a touchdown this week, 0.1% of leagues. So that's the irrelevant TDs of the week. Let's get on a brighter note. Let's get happy. Joe, you want to break down the soups of the week?
You like that? You like that?
See, those are a lot of no-name guys in the fantasy world. We're going to talk about some fantasy studs here, the soups of the week. You know, this man has been on this list the last 3 times he's played. He's been in this 30-plus section as well the last 3 times he's played. Actually, these first 2 names have Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler. Jackson's doing a little celebration right now because Josh Jacobs has been on an absolute tear. He started off the first 2 weeks of the season in single digits. Following that, he has put up big numbers every single week. Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, Jamar Chase, Kenneth Walker III. Wow, he looks amazing. And Tyler Boyd finds his way into the 30-plus soups of the week. Yeah, that is gross.
Just gross.
Early bomb touchdown from Joe Burrow, who QB1 on the week with ease. As well as some 20-point guys here. Aaron Jones found the end zone twice. He didn't look great. They didn't give him the ball that much, but he did score twice. So, Mecole Hardman, he did not score 30 points and he had 3 touchdowns. That's hard to do. Dudu Smith-Schuster in the same game, he did find the end zone as well, had about like 25 fantasy points or something like that. I think had a good week. Eno Benjamin, the Thursday night game, put up a good week. Paris Campbell, I mean, we mentioned him in their relevant TDs and he's on the soups of the week. That's a pretty big deal, as well as Marquise Goodwin, both of those names on there. George Kittle, he seems to be back integrated in this offense. Bringing Christian McCaffrey in is something that makes me question Deebo Samuel a little bit and makes me question George Kittle a little bit as well because when he's fully integrated in the offense, I'm just kind of worried about the passing game because San Francisco obviously wants to run. So the passing game is going to get a little limited. I think we'll see what happens with the passing game, see where it goes on a weekly basis. Mike Williams, we talked about the injury. He did have a good week before the injury. DeAndre Hopkins, back like he never left. 10 catches on like 14 targets, I believe. Raheem Mostert just snuck in over the 20-point mark, finding the end zone and a receiving touchdown. Juwan Johnson also has 2 touchdowns of garbage time, makes this list. Congrats to him. First time on the soups of the week. We do have our top 5 quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, far and away the number 1 this week. Testone's loving that. Joe Burrow, obviously worth Michael Gallup, of course. We already mentioned that a little bit.
Soups.
Yeah.
Patrick
Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes also on this list. Daniel Jones, rush for over 100 yards, Jax. What do you think about that? You got to love that.
Yeah, we're going to win too many games and he's going to be our quarterback for life. But that's
should have picked up that 5th-year option. Now you're going to sign him to a max.
Andy Dalton, 3 interceptions, still finds his way on this list. Trevor Lawrence as well. Those are the top 5 QBs of the week. Obviously, Joe Burrow highlighted, I already mentioned. And then we have some stinkers. Yeah, go ahead and fix that, Testoni.
Sorry.
We do have some stinkers, the Towers of the week.
Yeah, Mo, that team sure did suck last night. They just plain sucked. I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Scored a touchdown.
God, he did score a touchdown. He's still on the Towers of the week. That's terrible. Just like another guy on this list. He's got to be on this list. Kareem Hunt. Yep, he's down at the bottom. Kareem Hunt found the end zone and still single digits. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews.
Let me tell you something because I was at half that game before I left. Mark Andrews, he touched the ball twice. He had a 4-yard rush for a first down. And then he took a snap and pitched it to Lamar. Those are the 2 times he touched the football.
Was he a decoy?
I don't know. I'm assuming his middle name is Isaiah because his initials are MIA. That's what he was this week.
Ooh.
Deontay Johnson, Melvin Gordon, Hunter Renfrow. Those are all guys not injured like this next guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So you do have to take that into account when he makes the Towers of the week. Cortland Sutton, back-to-back weeks on this list.
By the way, Joe, you getting nervous?
A little bit, but
you offered him to me earlier today.
Yeah, I know. And then I immediately was like, oh yeah, you have Jerry Jeudy. I'm stupid. Yeah, I literally canceled that like within 15 seconds of sending it because it all just clicked. And I was like, why would he want him? He has Jerry Jeudy.
I read it and I went, Well, I can't take this. I have Jerry Judy, and before I could even tell you, it's a trade canceled.
Yeah, it was just a brain fart there. But he did have 9 targets, and it was with Brett Rippon. Not crazy worried. Really, he's had one bad week with Russ, and assuming Russ comes back, I'm going to assume the 1 out of 6 weeks that is bad. That's just every wide receiver has down weeks. It just happens. Brandon Cooks, Corey Davis also got injured. Brandon Cooks, he caught all of his targets. Usually he had been getting the high target volume and not really being on the same page with Davis Mills. This time he caught all of his targets, but didn't get as many. I believe he finished with 4 or 5 catches. Kyle Pitts, no stranger to this list, just been disappointing the entire year. Christian McCaffrey makes the list. He really shouldn't. He
I have
didn't
an
play that many
asterisk next to
snaps.
it.
Yeah, no, I see it. He really shouldn't be on the list, but it's fair because he played and he scored in the single digits. DK Metcalf, also another injury. Michael Gallup,
Wait,
great
let
week.
me fix something about Michael Gallup.
I thought it was 0. Goose, Michael Gallup. Joe Burrow, who he was traded for, only outscored him by like 38 or 40 points.
40
I don't know
some
how many he
points.
got. Yeah. Drake London, past game in Atlanta is non-existent. Jamal Williams, he was the starter for Detroit, but against a really good Dallas defensive, was not able to get it done. Deebo Samuel, I mentioned with Christian McCaffrey getting involved, I am a little worried with Deebo, so see if this trend continues. Rashad Bateman, active, but did not get involved. Zach Ertz on Thursday night only had 6 fantasy points. Keenan Allen did not play the second half. He's on this list as well, followed by Leonard Fournette and Kareem Hunt. I mentioned Kareem Hunt found the end zone. Leonard Fournette was on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense that did not know how to play football against the Carolina Panthers. We have a few strange names on this list. Jared Goff makes the list. Didn't really get anything done. I believe he had 4 turnovers. Lamar Jackson, 3 turnovers.
No. 3 points.
Oh, 3 points. Yes, I know. I think he had 4 turnovers too.
Yeah.
So Lamar Jackson did not get it done. I think still going to lead Wills to a victory as well with Lamar not getting it done. Tom Brady, my QB struggles continue. Tom Brady does not find the end zone. Geno Smith, he didn't kill you. I think he finished with 14 fantasy points, so he still got double digits. Dak Prescott also on this list coming off the injury.
Well, you know what they say. Russell Wilson can't be on this list if he doesn't play.
That's exactly right. He probably would have been because Brett Rippon didn't do much. That's for
You know what
sure.
Brett Rippon did? We could talk more about it later. But I
Targeted
think
Jerry
Jerry
Jeudy?
Judy looks damn good.
Yeah, this was flashback to last year. I think it was last year. Brett Rippon's first start against the Jets on Thursday night. There was a bomb touchdown to Jerry Jeudy who mossed cornerback. I don't know who he was for Jerry Judy's first ever
I
touchdown.
think that was 2 years
I
ago
think it was too because it was Jerry Judy's rookie year.
because Zach Wilson wasn't there, and I think Darnold got hurt and Joe Flacco came in.
Must have been 2 years ago, but I remember watching it. Jerry Jeudy first touchdown ever was thrown by Brett Rippon. That's for your trivia nights. And that will wrap up. Yeah, that will wrap up the Soups and Tylers of the week. I hope you started the Soups. I hope you sat the Tylers. Shout out Soup.
Shout out Tyler.
Shout out Tyler. I'm going to hop right into the fantasy matchup recap. Just about every matchup, I do have a labeled, quote, winner, but just about every matchup that we have is 99 to 1% or 100, and it's over.
Well, you know why?
I think the only matchup left with more than 1% is Andy Collins has a 3% chance of winning because Jacoby Myers still has to play. So
I was going to say,
Jacoby Myers doesn't fumble and die on the first snap. Should be okay. But
I was going to say, Joe, you know why? It's because 2 very fantasy irrelevant teams are playing on Monday night.
That's exactly right. New England Patriots will be playing Chicago on Monday night. But first, we do have Soup and Sammy's versus me, Joey Browner, your co-host. Soup and Sammy's is going to get the L here. They're at 98 right now. I'm at 123. I still have Ramondre Stevenson, and they still have Nick Folk. So, yeah, this one's all but wrapped up here. There still is the 1%, obviously. Soup highlighted by a good Thursday night start with DeAndre Hopkins, as well as a few injuries here. David Njoku was getting it going, 14 fantasy points, and then has the ankle injury. Amon-Ra St. Brown with his first catch gets the concussion, or I guess technically not a concussion. He also had some tough bye weeks. I mentioned it on the last episode, so I won't go through all the byes, but just a stinker from Jared Goff filling in there. I was highlighted by Kenneth Walker, of course. That 75-yard touchdown run really really did some damage for me there at the end. Also, Devontae Adams, Gerald Everett both had good weeks, and Zeke found the end zone twice too. So I'm looking to advance to 5-2. Soup and Sammy's are looking to knock down to 2-5.
By the way, real quick, neither after last week where all of our starts and sits were either in Soups and Tyler's, none of ours were this week. The closest Zeke was my start. I think he finished with like 19 point something.
17.7.
All right, maybe not, but he had
And
2 touchdowns. That's a good start.
Yeah. Damian Pierce was my running back start who had 15.7. If he found the end zone, it would have been a smash play. He had 92 rushing yards,
And then
4
also
receptions.
my board bet, who was my sit, Amari Cooper, I said would not. This is twice this year. My board bets have been deathly close.
Oh, my
I said,
God.
I
I
said
forgot.
Jalen Waddle was going to have a great day. Jalen Waddle back in week 2 had like 37 points, and it was against Tyreek. Tyreek had like 40.
Yep. I
Amari
remember that.
Cooper had 3 catches, and I think it was for
Must have been 74 yards because he finished with
74 yards. It was
10.4.
barely over. And he had 1 catch for like 55 yards on a broken play. So that was it. So again, I lose.
What are you gonna do with your lineup next week? Are you sitting Sutton?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't see how I can. I'm gonna play him, especially if Russ comes back. We're just gonna ride with that. Hope for a bounce back week. Cortland Sutton country, let's ride. Not Broncos country. Fuck them. So yeah, next matchup is Bryce versus Testoni. When I'm looking at my matchups here, this one is one of the ones that's 100% to 0 here. Bryce with a, let's see, 24 from a linebacker, 16 from the next one. So that's 40 points. And then 13 from his kicker. That's 53 from his 2 defensive players and kicker.
Yep.
Defense wins championships.
That is crazy. And then a 30 point from Patrick Mahomes, or 29.9, and then a 27.4. And Mike Williams with 21. And Mike Evans with 18. Antonio Gibson even finds the end zone on a weird game there. Bryce puts up 176 to Testoni's 134. He had 44 from Joe Burrow, but he had a decent week. 134 can get you a win a decent amount of the time, but just he ran into a good Bryce week there, especially with the defenders. Joe Burrow, 44 points in our league. Dante Foreman had 17.5 without a touchdown. T. Higgins, 14. Jared Jeudy, 16. Those were his main scorers there. But just wasn't enough this week. So Bryce is going to be moving up to 3-4, while Testoni is going to be at 1-6.
Sorry, I'm crushing in my other leagues. So
I think Joey needs to,
Good.
or not Joey, sorry. I think Nick needs to burn a stuffed horse because the amount that had to go right for Bryce to win this week is unbelievable. All the talk about Brian Robinson this, Brian Robinson that, then Gibson gets the touchdown. I mean, to score, 53 points, like you said, from your special teams and defense, that's ridiculous.
That's insane. That might be the highest we've seen from that 3 collective so far this year. Both had an interception, and one of them had a touchdown.
If the Chiefs don't absolutely step on the Niners' throat and Juju gets that garbage touchdown, so much had to go right here. So, Nick, I feel for you, brother.
Crazy.
Nobody likes is accepting GM apps.
It's okay.
Next matchup here, we do have Sam Smith at a 99% versus Diego Grijalva, who has 1% victory. If Roquan Smith can get him 45 points, which I guess is possible in this league, Diego's going to find himself a victory. Sam Smith had a weird little start. There was he had his Saint players in on Thursday night with the buys. There was that whole thing, which really wasn't a thing, but ended up having Justin Herbert kind of saved the day at the end with a touchdown to Austin Eckler. I was with Andy and Derek at the time. Andy was not happy when that was thrown to Austin Eckler. As well as Breece Hall still got it done for him, even with the injury. 18 points. Saquon Barkley, 18.5. Those are really Christian Kirk in the flex, 17.1. Those are really his big names that produced for him this week. I mean, he got 12 and 10 from Cooper and Waddle. Not too much. See, like Testoni had a 134. This is a 122 victory from Sam Smith. So it's just
there was no reason to bring. There's no reason to bring that up. But okay,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I was just saying earlier that like 130 something can get you a win most of the time. So it's just
to speak to Breece Hall. By the way, I heard someone on the radio say, "Well, the tough thing about fantasy is the one thing I asked: if you're going to go down, at least do something for me first." Yeah, and Breece Hall did.
He did.
That's very sad, but and it's the case of someone like Amon Ra. That's tough.
Yep, no doubt. Diego on the other side. Taylor Heineke got the start for him, put up 14 points. Travis Etienne seems to be taking over that role in Jacksonville. 19.9 fantasy points, his best performance so far this year. Uh, Really nothing else. I mean, his next high scorer is Jordan Brooks, his linebacker, 8 tackles and a forced fumble. Diego with 86 right now, with Roquan Smith the only guy left.
I know it's a pardon my take thing, but I'm throwing the done chain on Diego's team. Over. It's
Done.
done.
Auto
It's done.
drafters done.
I don't know if he'll win another game this year. I'm not even
Cooper
kidding.
Kupp will be back next week, so don't forget about that.
Yeah,
But
but
Sam
AJ
Smith,
Dillon is his RB2.
yeah, Sam Smith will advance 3-4, while Diego will drop down to 4-3. He is on a 3-game skid. The next matchup, our third co-host, Jackson Edelman versus Derek Tigno. Jackson puts up just under the 150 mark, the 149.46. That is a 100% victory versus Derek Tigno, who put up 113 flat. Start with Derek here. Derek had Gino getting the start, only put up 13 for him. Did find the end zone twice, but threw a pick. Joe Mixon found the end zone, 18 fantasy points. Travis Kelce, 15 points. Kind of an average week for Travis Kelce. Nothing else crazy to highlight on his team. You would have assumed Lockett gets more involved. He does have 7 catches, but only for 45 yards with the DK injury. Jackson on the other side, Josh Jacobs just keeps on getting it done. 3 touchdowns. George Kittle finds the end zone, puts up 21 points. Josh Jacobs had 37.5. Kamara and Derrick Henry, neither one of them found the end zone, but production was key. Both put up 17 points. Kyler found the end zone once. I believe he had some rushing yards as well, 30 rushing yards and a 2-point conversion got him to 17 points. So I think the threshold you hope for in a quarterback this year is 20 points, or that's always. But this year, quarterbacks have been really weird, to be honest. We talked about this person earlier. If you don't have Josh Allen, you can't really be ecstatic, or Jalen Hurts as well. I'm going to say Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. If you don't have those two guys, you haven't been ecstatic. I guess you could probably throw Patrick Mahomes in that list as well.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, yeah, but earlier on in the season, wasn't doing.
I didn't have
flamethrowers, yeah. But it's been weird because I feel like there's usually a lot more guys that are always getting over 20 points. But Jackson will move to solo first and 6-1, even though he was already solo first. But move to 6-1. Derek finally is going to take an L. He's going to get down to 4-3. Next matchup here, we have Andrew Atkins versus Spano. Spano plays another player that is not playing this week, so that's good. We love to see that.
No, wait. He can win.
I mean, he could, but
if he drops, so there's 2 people he can drop. They're both on bye. One's Josh Allen.
Well, he still has David Montgomery too. He's chasing 13, and he's going to be going up against David Montgomery. So
still possible.
Yeah, it's still possible
if he wants to play an actual player in that
week.
position and drop that person.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into it because it makes me angry. But Atkins still riding with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to get you that 11 to 16 point range every single week. Aaron Rodgers with 15 points. Nick Chubb finds the end zone. Looks like Nick Chubb again, 18.6. Jamar Chase, 2 touchdowns, 130 yards. That's 35 fantasy points. A dud from Deebo Samuel, 9.4. Chris Olave in the flex Thursday night. Got it done for him. Spano, Damian Pierce, Terry McLaurin both had good days. Terry and Taylor Heineke really have a good connection that seems to continually get it done. He did have to play Marcus Mariota in the quarterback position this week, who found 14 points for him. He did get some bonuses on a big play. So Atkins is going to move to 4-3, while Spano is going to drop down to 3-4. And then we have the closest one, the only one that's not 1 or 0% chance for the underdog right now. Jake Wills is up by 0.02 points, and he has Jacoby Myers. He could sit him. He could if he was afraid. He could sit him. Jacoby Myers could die on the first play we mentioned. He could fumble. You have something to say, Jax?
Yeah, this year, I've thought a couple times about doing that to not risk it. But this year we added in money for having the most points in the league.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Sitting somebody is definitely a detriment. I mean, unless he, of course, goes for -2 and then, like you said, dies on the field. But
would be brutal.
Pretty dark if you just die.
Crazy things do happen. Austin Eckler, of course, 2 touchdowns, only 31 yards on the ground, and he has 36.7 fantasy points. This dude is just an enigma. Brandon Ayuk getting involved in the passing game, 16 fantasy points. Pat Freiermuth, a good Sunday night performance from your tight end with 15 points. Lamar, only 10 points, 0 touchdowns. On the flip side, Andy, Dak Prescott found the end zone once, but it took a long time. That offense was not really moving like you would have assumed. Jonathan Taylor does not find the end zone, but puts up 15 fantasy points. Aaron Jones finds the end zone twice with 28.6. That really highlights his big name, big performance guys this week. Pittman and Lazard, 10 and 11 fantasy points. Definitely would have hoped for more there from Andy. Wills is going to move to 5-2, and Andy's going to move to 2-5, barring a miracle. And that'll bring the new standings after week 7. We do have a solo first place, Jackson Edelman. He is on the podcast right now, sitting at 6-1. Shout out to Jackson. Good for you. Tied for second, or say that again?
I heard you. You shouted me out. I heard you.
Oh, sorry. I was like, what? Tied for second is me and Jake Wills. We are both 5-2 right now. With the next 3 guys tied for 4th here is Derek, Diego, and Atkins. They're all 4-3. Tied for 7th place, Sam Smith, Bryce Phobel, and Spano all at 3-4. Tied for 10th, Andy and Soup and Sammy's down at 2-5. And my co-host, who just deleted, that was good. As I'm reading the show doc, Testoni deletes 12th place, Testoni at 1-6. That was great. That's the standings for the SMCM Baseball Fantasy League after week 7.
Nick, it's not over for you.
Well, dude, this one was a backbreaking because I had Latavius Murray, Donta Foreman playing this week, and my team did great.
You had a good week. I know you had a good.
And then
week.
I just take it every week. There's something I just take it, and it's ridiculous. So this was a tough one this week. Anyways, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll do our Sunday recap and we'll preview Thursday night football.